Are we set?
Yep, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to go ahead and start the North Stonington Board of Finance, call this meeting to order on 18 January 2023. The time is 7 o'clock. In attendance tonight, either virtually or in the room, are Paul Simons, Winona Burdine, Sarah Nelson, Dan Smith, Amy Friend, Mike Anderson, Gary Anino, and Carl Johnston. First agenda item are public comments, if there are any.
No one has a hand up in the room.
Okay, thank you. Next agenda item, our town assessor will present the grand lists for this year. Daryl, up to you. Thank you.
All set?
Yes, sir.
Good evening. The grand list has been completed by myself just recently, like today. And the short news is we got a 2.26% increase. That's all. Okay. On real estate, the increase was $5,014,215 or about 1%. On personal property, the increase was $4,828,699 or about 9.9%. That's mainly solar. And on motor vehicles, we had a $3,510,540 dollar increase for 5.3%. The total, the grand list went up by $13,555,684 or 2.26% increase. Any questions?
Please. I mean, you say only 2.26. I think that's great. That's directionally correct, as someone might recognize that phrase. Can you tell me?
But next year, we just got a $10.4 million permit for more solar on Providence to London Turnpike, and that'll be coming for next year.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Maybe you can help me with the arithmetic. So this addition to this grand list increase, what is that? What will we realize in spendable dollars for our budget?
Depends on the mill rate.
Current mill rate. I think that's all we can do, right?
Okay.
I'm sure you're quicker at the arithmetic than I.
Probably.
Hey, okay.
Let's see. The increase, if the bill rate stayed the same, would be $385,659.21.
Very good. Thank you for that, Daryl. I appreciate it. So again, I think it's positive news, right? So we all like to see the
positive news. That's right.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Could we get that figure one more time? I'm sorry.
For the spendable,
Yes.
$385,659.21 at the current mill rate.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Do you mind just running through the numbers again real quick? I got real estate, I got property, I missed auto, and then I got the total, but I wouldn't mind hearing them again so I can write them. Make sure.
Again, on real estate, the increase was $5,014,215, about 1%.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. On personal property, the increase was $4,828,699, about 9.9%. And on motor vehicles, the increase was $3,510,540 for an increase of 5.3%.
And you said the total was it was around 13.5 million.
Oh, and the total was $13,555,684 for a 2.26% increase to the grand list.
Okay, thank you so much.
And Sarah, you have an electronic copy in your email that I sent out at the beginning of the meeting.
Oh, sure. Point out that I didn't read my materials ahead of time.
It just came out.
Just moments ago.
I just finished it, so you didn't get a whole lot of time. Just-
Okay, all right. I will not
you
delinquent
have it till the
today.
end of the month.
I got it. Perfect, thank you.
Other questions from the board on Daryl's report?
Yes.
Daryl, on the real estate, do you have any analysis as to how much of the increase was caused by new construction? Was that offset by reductions in values? Do you have any idea of?
And most of it is all new construction. There were not a whole lot. I think there was less than 15 new houses. Okay. The biggest development, if you want to call it that, is the one on Norwich Westerly Road for the 5 units that Lewis built. 2 of them being affordable housing.
Did you see any decreases in home values? Or
We
they-
don't do a decrease or a change of assessment on values unless it's a reval year,
Right.
not this year. 2025.
So that was a good question, Mike. Daryl, you think there might be a $10 million increase next year for a solar farm?
Well, at least
Yeah.
that, because I think what they estimated for value is low.
Okay.
on
Do
the
you see
permit.
any other? Sorry, go ahead.
I'm trying to think where the development's going to come. We got a small project on, let's see, is it 617? It's a new warehouse is being built at 75 Frontage Road. That wasn't completed, and they're going to have some big personal property there because they got a spray booth and where they paint boats.
Okay,
Real
great.
nice.
I guess where I was going off of Mike's question, do you see any decreases coming our way?
Well, we have 2 lawsuits. We have one on Tinaco Plaza. Okay, he thinks we're over assessed, but we used his numbers, so you're going to have to tell us why. And the other one is on a solar plant where the state statute says it has to be 3 megawatts or less, and they're 5. But they split it in 2 pieces. I don't think so.
So what would that mean for us if it were 5?
It would come off the grand list. It's probably about $8 million.
It would come off the grand list.
Yeah, but I don't think, the statute is clear. It says 3 megawatts or less, and the approval from the state siting council was 5. They didn't ask for 2 3s. They asked for 1 5. And that's what they got. Now then they read the statute and decided that, whoops, well, we'll split it and tell the assessor it's 2 3s.
I guess I'm still lost as to why that would come off.
Because it would be exempt under state statute.
Oh, that would explain that. Okay.
Yeah, but the statute is clear, 3 megawatts or less.
Okay. No, I understand now. So I think we have that on our side for sure. Thank you for that.
Oh, we're gonna see, but I don't think, what they calling it is what they say, it's virtual net metering. And they took their plant, which is 5 megawatts, and they split it into 5 pieces. And they said, see, we're under 3, but they're not.
Gotcha. A lot of hand waving that sounds like that. That's not.
Because then any plant, they could say whatever it is, 15 megawatts, 20 megawatts, split it into 20 pieces. Okay. Or, we have a 20 megawatt or 15 megawatt site off Ella Wheeler. They could say, okay, it's not 15, it's 5 3s.
Yeah, I gotcha.
That's what the statute says.
Thank you.
unless the state legislature does this wrong, you know?
Yeah.
You could always change the law.
Winona, please go ahead.
Thank you. I have a question about the motor vehicle taxes. What is the appeals process for people to have their taxes negotiated and have a reevaluation of the value of their vehicle?
Okay, we use the NADA book value for pricing motor vehicles. Okay. The statute says if a car is 20 years or older, a motor vehicle 20 years or older, it has an assessment of $500.
Mhm.
If you feel because of high mileage or condition or something that you feel your car is being overassessed, come to the Board of Assessment Appeals with the automobile. They take a look at it. They take a look at the odometer and they make a decision how much they should reduce the assessment. They have a right to do that.
And for this grand list that has been created currently, at what date was the NADA book values pulled on the vehicles in town?
The NADA book values are for the October list for October 2022, which is the date of our grand list.
So this is all of a setup to get to where I'm going, which is that in the last 6 months, the industry has seen the used car values drop about 40% in some buckets, including pickup trucks, and on average of 23% for sedans. So are we concerned about potential appeals to have people get their motor vehicle tax reassessed?
No. And the reason for it is the statute is clear. It tells the assessors to use the NADA book value for values, average retail value, and that's what we did. Take 70% of that number, and that's your assessment. Okay. If they go down, it'll be in the future, which is the next October, which is where you're talking really, and we'll see what happens then.
Okay, so the appeals process that you explained is only, so it wouldn't apply in the situation that I just said, that if I get my tax bill and I say, wait, I think my truck is now worth 40% less than what you have it listed as, I can't ask for a reassessment?
Oh, you can ask. You just might not win.
Daryl, can you explain the time frame that
The
the BAA
time
needs?
frame is for motor vehicles is October 1st of 2022. That's the date and time that we look for at the value of the car. We purchased the book from the NADA, which has those numbers.
Okay,
Taking into consideration all the changes in value from the last year, and that's what we use.
And then when can people meet with the Board of Assessment Appeals if they want to question the value?
And the Board of Assessment Appeals will be meeting. You have until February 20th to make an appeal. That's by state statute. And then the board is going to meet sometime in March. We're trying to find when we get the three people together so that they can meet.
and even the reassessment is still using the NADA as of October 1st?
Yes.
Okay, that's the part that wasn't clear to me.
As of October 1st, 2022.
Okay,
I know it's a similar process with your help with your homeowner's taxes. Usually it's only getting done when the valuation year happens. But I've done it in the past. It's February is the time when you have to get all your work together for doing assessment appeals. And there are other remedies in Superior Court if you're not happy with it.
Well,
Carl, go right ahead.
Daryl, I'm not sure if you're gonna be able to answer this or not, but the 5 megawatt system, and they're trying to split it into 2.
Yes.
Is that fed from, is it 2 separate taps to the street or is it on one? And the reason I ask that is if they do go to the state and ask that, they're actually saying that this is tapped on the street as 1, this is tapped on the street as 2.
They ran one power line from the plant to the
system,
to the what we'll call it, the substation.
substation. So it's all connected on one, so they're still
There's one-
5K.
They
Okay.
ran one power line.
Yep. I'm just looking, if it was $8 million, we ought to look at that if they're gonna try
Yeah,
and appeal it.
they do have several, what they call inverters.
Right, but normally it would be the tap on the pole, I would think, going out to the substation.
Right.
Right, so 2 separate systems would be one here and one over here.
Nope, that's
Okay.
not what they did.
All right, so we shouldn't have a problem with that then.
Should not. Our attorney doesn't think so.
Okay, thank you, Daryl.
What other questions for Daryl from the board?
I just have a follow-up question on the motor vehicles. Do you think that increase compared to last year, because we know we had a pretty big increase last year, is there more vehicles in town based upon the increase in households or people purchasing them? Are there more vehicles than there were last year?
Give me 2 seconds. Last year we had 6,359 motor vehicles. This year, 6,394. So 40 more.
How many appeals did we have last year?
Probably 3 or 4. We just don't get appeals.
That's good to know.
It is good to know, yeah.
Did the appeals win?
Excuse me?
Did the appeals win?
No.
No.
I mean, they have won in the past. We've had some cars that are heavily damaged because they had an accident like in August or July of the previous year, and they just didn't get the car fixed. And then we've had some with some high mileage on them, people that had 300,000 miles or 250,000 miles, and they give them a slight reduction for that.
Yeah, but less than a handful of cars in total with some marginal decrease. It doesn't sound like it's,
Oh yeah, it doesn't go to zero.
yeah, but it doesn't move the needle for our fund either.
Doesn't move the needle. Let's say last year, on motor vehicles, they gave no reductions.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Great.
Oh, and the other one was on personal property. The only reduction they gave was a guy was late. And so he got a 25% penalty and they took it away.
Ah.
Because it was the accountant got sick with COVID.
Okay.
And they thought it was justified.
Understand.
Again, what the law tells me the 25% penalty, and they saw a reason to take the penalty away.
Okay.
And it was a big account.
Oh, I got you. Okay. What other questions for Daryl? Okay, hearing none. Daryl, thank you very much. I mean, I think this is good news, right? For the town. So
Yeah.
it's
Not bad.
not bad. It's better than not bad. It's good.
Solvent.
What can I have one question. What was the increase last year? And do you have like the last couple of years for us?
I don't have it with me right now. Because you got to remember, 2020 was the reval year. So
It was huge.
that was big.
Yeah.
And then 2021 was the year after the reval. I think it was just a nominal couple of percent,
Yeah, mostly motor vehicle.
right?
Yeah.
And that was it. And that was this year.
I'm not sure what my recollection is, Mike. Was it similar to this last year?
Yeah, but I
It
think
was.
other than the reval year, we've had like 1%,
Yeah.
from what I recall.
1
1 or
increase
2%,
is
it's at
standard.
max
That's what we
2%.
get.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, unless we get some major developments, you're not going to see it.
I'll say it again. I think it's good, right? It's the right direction. It's gives us a little more flexibility in what we're trying to accomplish in town. So I wouldn't apologize for that. It looks
I mean,
good to me.
you still got to remember that we have an awful lot of land in PA 490, which is the reduction for farm, forest, and open space. Well, we don't give open space, but we give farm and forest.
Yeah, that's what the town is, right? We like that. So
We like that. I mean,
Yeah.
so, people put their land, if they have 25 acres, they put their land in forestry and it, it's a huge reduction for them.
What is that delta? Is it half?
No.
10%,
It's about 90% off.
90% off. So it's
It's around $300 an acre instead of 3,000.
gotcha.
It's $4,000 for excess land. We charge $4,000 an acre. And if it's in farm forest, it's about 300.
I see.
Major reduction.
No, I understand. That's North Stonington. That's what that's what we're all about. So it's good stuff. Good stuff. Except for the areas that we want to develop. It's good to have those lands that are protected by
Right.
that
And then
statute.
we
Yeah.
have, we have land owned by Nature Conservancy in Avalonia.
Mhm.
And
Okay.
didn't we lose a lot of land off of the Mashantucket when they put theirs into forestry like last year? Was that last
We
year?
lost some, yes, we lost some.
I thought it was pretty high number,
Well, it was,
like
but
10 million.
yeah, we lost some. They did it during reval. So it kind of got buried
Mhm.
because they saw an increase and they figured they'll kind of stop it.
But that's all done. That's all figured into all
It's all
this. It's
figured in.
Thank you.
No other appeals pending to add those more lands into that area, Daryl?
You
No,
know,
sir. Nothing. Nothing we're aware of.
nothing that we are aware of.
Okay. I don't have anything else unless someone else from the board does.
Pat, there's a question in the crowd, or
Oh,
there's a
please
question
grab your
about
mic.
Pat Lewis in the crowd. Hold on.
Please grab your microphone and let's hear it.
Considered personal property, so how much will that 8 million or 7 million depreciate?
I'm sorry. Could you speak in the microphone, please?
I had a question about the solar panels. They're considered personal property. So how much will they depreciate? And one more solar question. The new application is. It is on. He's been speaking into it.
No, I can hear you fine now. If you just face it. Now it's off.
Hello?
Yes, sir. Loud and clear. I was hearing her fine until you turned it off.
Just get a little closer to the mic.
Right, just the new $10 million application that probably won't go online this year, will it? Or you think so? They're doing it in 2 increments and I think they already messed up the first one, so. Anyway, okay, so I just want about the depreciation. How much does it depreciate over a year?
Okay, as far as the depreciation on a solar plant, if they say the economic life is 30 years, then we're going to depreciate it somewhere around 3% a year. They're not going to get 10% because the economic life of the plant, they're already saying is 25 or 30 years. So it's going to be around 4% for depreciation.
Mhm.
I mean, you can't have it both ways. You can't say the economic life is 25 years and then get it depreciated in 7. We may go to court on it,
Right.
but I went to court on the issue in Montville when they had a paper plant that had an economic life of 50 years.
Hmm.
And they wanted 10% a year. No,
And that math doesn't work out for me. Okay.
yeah, the math didn't work out right.
Yeah, right. Oh, one more question from Ronald, please, before you go.
Yes, just if you could repeat what you said about the property tax on a per acre versus the 490, please.
Correct, 490. It's state statute what the numbers are. So we have no leeway as far as how much I value farm or forest acreage. It's set in the statutes. But we said it was worth $4,000 an acre when we did reval.
Thank you.
Last call for questions for Daryl.
Dan's got one.
Oh, Dan, nice.
I got one.
Please.
With the farm and forestry, does that get audited to make sure everybody is in compliance with the farm and forestry?
We don't audit really people. I go down and see them.
Okay,
We talk to them. And some of them have been removed because they just don't do it anymore. But you have to be careful because there's a statute called historic farm. And that means because somebody just got old and doesn't farm anymore. Salem tried it and lost badly. So if somebody's been farming the land for 40 or 50 years and decide because they're old, they're not going to farm it anymore. All they have to do is go to court and say, I intend to start again. And you have to leave it.
Okay.
Even though they might not.
So Daryl, are you the enforcement body for that?
I am the enforcement body.
Okay.
And it doesn't make people too happy, but you know, you go down and you ask them where the farm is
Yeah.
and how much are you producing? No, we don't get everybody, you know, but
No, I got you. I got you. Yeah, we definitely want to support farmers, but we want to make sure everyone's
what
compliant.
happens,
too.
sometimes it's, you know, I think it's a garden, but they take the vegetables and they give it to the soup kitchens.
Is that okay or is that not okay?
That's okay.
That's okay.
I mean, you know, that's that's the intent of the statute to
Yeah.
allow people to produce vegetables and fruits and et cetera. And sell them for a profit or give them away.
Gotcha. What do you, since we're on the topic, I guess I want to learn too. How big does a farm have to fall in this bucket?
Unfortunately, the state said it doesn't have to have any size. There is no limit to size.
Okay.
I thought you said 25 acres at least.
Oh, that's forestry. Forestry, the statute says 25 acres or more. But if you own more than one parcel, it could be as small as 10. If you own a 10-acre parcel and a 15-acre parcel, that you could add the two together and that counts.
But forestry is different than farming,
Yes, sir.
and there's no limit on farming. On the small end.
Size limit on the acreage, that's correct.
Wow. We should all go home and plant our gardens.
Properties have to be
What?
connected
Of what?
for the farm, 10 and 15.
No, that's forestry and it doesn't even have to be in the same town.
Okay.
So just to keep pulling at that thread, what is the what is required to be a farm?
To be a farm, you have to attempt to make a profit in an agricultural business.
That feels very loose. Is it like somebody
Yeah.
just sells eggs at the end of their driveway and that,
You have
or
to
do they have
attempt-
to actually have a tax ID and file taxes and all of that?
have to attempt to make a profit in an agricultural business. That's all I can say.
All right.
I mean, you could grow one chicken. Though I then decide how many acres that one chicken can live on. I mean, we had one person, he had 3 fruit trees and he wanted 15 acres. No, a little bit
Gotcha.
on each tree, but no 15.
Okay.
That's
So,
good. Good call.
so
Well-
it's vague, but we have powers of
We do have some.
interpretation. Yeah. On
We
our,
do have
okay.
some. And usually they won't take me to court because it's too expensive.
Daryl, isn't it true? You do have to have a profit of 2,500 or
Okay, now
expense, so-
that's another statute.
right.
That's if you gotta have 25,000 to get your agricultural business, buildings exempted.
Yep.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
okay.
different.
So there's all sorts
Most
of,
of them just, they take the farm exemption, the buildings, they don't make enough or they don't spend enough. But we do have, a number of farms that do.
So usually it's land only, not
Usually
outbuildings.
it's just the land. We have some If you take a look at the sheets that I provided, the exemption is M. That number under the M category in real estate is usually farm buildings.
Okay.
Okay, if you go and look through the extra sheets that I provided.
Okay. Thank you for that. It's been an education and good news for the grand list. So
Yeah,
I'm
with
gonna ask
all
one more time.
you still got a 2.5%, 2.25% increase.
That's right. That's great. That's great news. Final thoughts. Daryl, run.
I'm going home.
I don't blame you. Thank you very, very much.
Well, I gotta go look at 80 meters. I'm looking for Alaska and Hawaii, if you know where they are.
I want to know what you're talking about, but I don't, but okay.
I'm a ham radio operator. I'm looking for Alaska and Hawaii.
Oh.
Complete 5 bands, worked all states.
Well, have fun, my friend.
Thank you. All set.
right.
And then
Yeah,
turn it
we're
off.
set. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it. Okay, some good news from our assessor. That was good. An education on farming and forestry for North Stonington. That was also good. I think we're ready to move on to the next agenda item, which is our, I want to use the right terminology here. Hold please. Tax Relief Committee. And I'm not sure who will be presenting or talking to us on that, but looking forward to meeting whoever's here and talking about the initiative.
There it goes. Okay. Hello. I'm Louis Gingerella. I live on Armstrong Pentway, and I am the newly elected chairman of the Tax Relief Committee.
Congratulations.
Thank you, I think. So I'm here tonight just to let you know that we've started. There are 6 members of the committee, and we are scheduling up to 7 meetings already. We'll be putting those up, the agendas shortly. And I'm here tonight to find out from this committee what charge you would like to see from us as far as the report that we will be giving back to you within 60 days. Now it's about 45 days from the start of our committee. So I'm here to answer any questions or take notes as to what you would like us to do, or maybe what you don't want us to do.
Sure. I can start if everybody's okay with that. So great initiative. I think it's long overdue. Can you help me understand? I know the state allows some dollars for tax relief for seniors and other cohorts. Whatever your committee does at maximum can only equal that. Is that true?
Where did Daryl go? No. Yeah. As it turned out, I talked with Daryl a couple of days ago. And the current program that we have now is one that, I don't want to say limited, but is the maximum amount of benefit that a town can provide where the state will reimburse it for that granting of a lower tax rate for individuals, whether it's by way of age or disability.
Okay.
So basically where we're at right now in North Stonington, what we grant for abatement of taxes is equal to the state benefit to the town.
Would you happen to know that number?
Well, from memory now, I think it's $26,000 in that ballpark. I believe that's what the number is.
26,000 per.
No, $26,000 in total from the program from the state.
Oh, for any residents that might want to pull from it in total.
Because again, that's from memory from our meeting with. Daryl.
Okay, all right. I don't want to put you on the spot, but again, I know you haven't started the meetings yet, but I just trying to understand what the impact might be. That's all.
Right. So what we're looking to do is to either modify that or make recommendations to this committee as to what other things might be done, and try to give you an indication as to the financial impact of the town for whatever programs we suggest or
Okay.
identify. maybe that might be the best thing.
And the time horizon that you set forth is 60 days?
By statute, I think that we must be done by March 10th.
Okay, so that fits nicely into our budget discussions then.
Right.
You said you had several meetings on the calendar already?
Well, yes, we've identified, we've decided to meet every Tuesday for the next 5 weeks. If we need to call special meetings, we will obviously, but we've established meetings for the next 5 weeks. on
Okay.
Tuesday.
And is it your committee's wish to have someone from the Board of Finance as an ad hoc member, or is it, or at least you have plans to have these things, you know, on Teams or WebEx so we can view them, you know, join your meetings electronically?
We certainly would welcome any input from your group. That's what we're reporting back to. So any guidance that we could get along the way would be helpful. We have not decided to do hybrid meetings, but we certainly are in a position to do that if that's necessary.
I mean, it's something that I think would be helpful, especially if, you know, one or more of us would like to join. We're going to have a lot of meetings, this team is, over the next several months. So if we can avoid another one or make it more convenient to join, I think that would be a great idea. So electronic would be wonderful. A hybrid would be wonderful. I'm going to pause there. Sarah has her hand up.
Yeah, so I think I think it like broad strokes what was described, right? We want to share options and we want to talk about the economic impact to the town. I think that's what we would be looking for. I do think, Paul, it would be good if we had a specific I forget what he called it, but like a delegate from our board that would attend, so that we can provide sort of guidance in terms of like what are the key decision-making criteria as we look through this. And I've done a lot of research in this space. So I'm happy to volunteer if that's something folks would like to see. But overall, I think, you know, what we need to understand is what are all the options, because there's a lot of scenarios out there, income-based or age-based. There's like, you know, so what are the various scenarios?
Mm-hmm.
What is the committee's recommendation? And probably one or two alternative recommendations. So we have, you know, a series of choices to kind of look at, and then what the economic impact would be for the town, and how that is impacted by other, if at all, you know, potentially other social services. So even just having some sort of understanding there would be helpful. And what are I think it would be important, and I know this, I'm suggesting a lot of things, but I think it would be important to understand what some other towns are doing. So when I first started researching it, one thing you do is you go and read the state statutes, and there's a lot of information there, and then you have to read some of the town stuff. But other towns have done some of this, and I don't know that size and scale matters so much as what's sustainable for our town. Because you could say, oh, we don't want to do X because another town that's doing it is really big and they can afford it. But the reality is the population that would need it in our town may be percentage-wise comparable to our town, right? So I'd like to just understand like what's out there in Connecticut, what are other towns doing? What is your recommendation as a committee? What's the economic impact, and what's another possible recommendation, so we have something to bump it up against? I think would be my perspective on what we want to see.
Can you say that all again, please?
Funny
We
man.
had a technical difficulty in the room, Sarah, and we lost internet for a good couple minutes.
We all voted yes. You are now the liaison.
That's weird. I heard every word. I mean, yeah. So no pause here. So I think, yeah. So Sarah, thanks for volunteering for that. Unless someone else has a real desire to do, I think Sarah will be a fantastic representative for us.
You can just tell Lewis everything you said at the first meeting.
Yeah. So I'll say it real quick in 30 seconds. So just basically, and Paul can hear it for the fourth time, because I think I repeated myself a few times. So what are other towns doing? Right? And I don't care whether they're big or small, because I'm going to make an assumption that percentage wise, it's probably similar no matter what. What is the town's recommendation, the committee's recommendation, right? So I don't want to, I would prefer you not just come with like, here's all the options, like here's some options and here's our recommendation. Maybe 2 to 3 options, the recommendation, and then whether or not other towns are doing it, or if you looked at what other towns are doing, why you didn't recommend it. So that would be what I'd like to see, is, since you asked at the beginning and said, what do you want to see?
Daryl did provide us with, it's a little dated from 2015, what the towns in Connecticut are providing as of that date. We'll update that and get that information to this committee as part of our.
Sure. Awesome.
Great. So when was your first meeting? Your next meeting?
Our next meeting is next Tuesday, this coming Tuesday,
Okay, all right, great. Go ahead, Mike.
in the old town hall,
Oh, thank you.
new town hall.
There's there'll be an agenda posted somewhere, I'm sure, if it's not already.
So we have some ordinances right now related to tax relief for seniors and disabled, maybe military as well, right?
I don't know how much is our individual ordinances and how much is just driven by the state statutes. But
Okay.
Daryl has all that info.
All right. Are we looking to try to bring in other relief that are already on the books in the state? Or are we trying to create something new?
Well, the indication that I got was to look at the entirety of the issue and to make a report back based on what we found. So we haven't been told to limit our look on anything. So that's what we're going to, that's where we're going to approach it.
Okay. I just didn't know, are there state statutes out there that we're just not providing?
There are optional benefits that are in the statutes that towns can adopt that we haven't adopted at this point. Yes.
Okay, thanks.
And the target folks that you're looking to benefit are seniors and those with disabilities. Is there another group?
Service, retired, veterans. Actually.
Veterans? Okay, no, that's great. Okay.
And we are also aware that the town, through the fire department, has a program where some of the taxes that they, some of their taxes are abated based on, or reduced, whatever the proper term is, based on their service.
Okay. Yeah, so I think there is a fair amount of work because all those groups will be in different buckets and they all have an impact to the town's finances. So lots of work ahead of you in a very short amount of time, for sure.
We'll try to get it done. We don't have to-
Yeah. So Sarah, if you're still willing, maybe we'll put this agenda item on for you to brief this board on status of that committee
Yeah.
and what you're seeing. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that would be good with a goal towards when we get to the end of this, you guys, we all agree on exactly what they're going to share with us. So we don't have follow-up questions after the fact. So I'd be happy to do that. What time is the meeting on Tuesdays?
7 o'clock.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah,
Or,
those.
I've been standing, I think you're right. It is 6 o'clock. We did decide on 6 o'clock. Yes.
Okay.
Getting
Starting
pretty early, huh?
6 o'clock.
Okay. Yeah, if it works for the teams, that's good.
Yeah, I may come with a 7-year-old in tow, but this board knows she's very well behaved and so
She
she
is.
won't bother anybody.
No. Yeah, so the weekly updates or when we meet, your updates, that would be great. If we need a bit of a reset, we can talk about it then. That'd be perfect.
Perfect.
All right. What else? Was there other questions? I thought I saw another hand up in the audience there. I'm not able to see that. Carl, you waving there? I can't tell.
Being a senior, I nabbed Daryl as I walked in to ask him about a few questions about this. And he said, well, I was asking him about Homestead Act, which is where you get a deduction for your house value, and that way your taxes decrease. And I know they offer it in other states and probably in other towns. So I asked him also about seniors that are what we currently have, and he said that is reimbursed by the state, and it's income based. But when we create our own policy, the town will have the burden, but it's the town's decision what we do, and the state isn't involved at all, whatever we decide, because really it's coming out of our budget. So that, I think that was pretty much the gist of what I asked him, and a few other questions.
So I can't confirm or deny what Daryl said, if that's factual. He knows more than us. But I'm sure there'll be some compliance issues that we have to dance around, but this committee, I think, will work through those and do that scholarship.
I think basically what Daryl was probably saying is that there's $25,000 that gets reimbursed by the state, and we've already maxed it out. So anything else comes straight from the town.
Well, I think that is true. I think my understanding was we can only do 1X on top of that. But again, I'm going to let the committee do its work. I don't know if that's true or not. For a total of, 52,000.
We'll have all that information for you.
Very good. What else? Any other comments, questions? I know there's probably not a lot of questions you can answer at this point because you haven't started your work. But the initiative is a good one. That's a great group. So we'll be talking soon. Thank you very much. Nice to meet you.
Thanks, Louis.
Okay. Next agenda item is reports. Christine did send these out on Tuesday. I have mine up here.
So the main thing I wanted to point out is that the new tax collector has created a new report that she's using for her reporting. So she did the report through the end of December. So the cover sheet just summarizes it, and basically she is comparing what we have budgeted on the regular town budget to what she's collected through that date. And then it still has the reports behind it from QDS. So I just wanted to make sure you guys knew it was a new format, and this is what we're going to have moving forward on the tax collection side.
Great. Thank you for that. Have we received any more reports from the Board of Ed?
I have not gotten any.
Okay, I think the last one's probably a bit aged now. I think they're October or something. Okay, I can drop a note to Christine about that. I know she's wanting to join this group to talk about her reports, but I think the ones that we have are so old, and I'm not sure if they're really applicable. But I'd love to see some new ones so we can start that conversation. Any questions on the reports we do have?
I do.
Go ahead, Mike.
I got a bunch of check marks just to. First of all, anything standing out to you that has you concerned at all?
So the report that you guys have is through November, so everything should be around 41% as far as what the completion amount is. I will point out that, again, recreation is at 56.5% of their program expenses.
I had that, but yeah.
So they will be coming forward for an additional appropriation request because they are registering people in these programs and bringing in the revenue to offset what they're spending. But we're waiting to get further into the year to see what we think the overage is going to be before we come in and look for that addition. They also have more programs in the fall and winter than they do in the springtime, generally
That's what I
speaking.
figured that as well.
So that's why it's a little bit more front loaded, but we do know the drama programs that we are currently running were not in the budget at all. And they're very popular, very well attended. And again, those are being paid for by parents in the community. So there is an offset for that, but it's just not included in the budget. So we will need additional for that. Another one that looks like it's has an overrun, but won't is B21.02, which is elections and town meeting expenses. But we have had the majority of the town meetings and elections that we will have for the year. We'll have our budget referendum in May. Hopefully we'll only need to have one since we're going to have an excellent budget process this year.
Yes.
But we're already at 47.5% on that line item.
Okay.
I also just want to bring up the animal control expenses. She's currently at 72.6%. Part of that is because we pay the entire agreement with Stonington upfront for the use of their facility. So the $1,200 gets paid at the beginning of the year. But she obviously has a different variety of animals that she works with. So the veterinary expenses can vary from year to year, month to month, depending on what animals she's working with. So that's why that one is a little bit more.
Christine, do you, what vet does she use?
She goes to Four Paws Veterinary, and we have a discount with them because they're our vendor.
Do they have a donation program?
Yes.
So Four Paws Veterinary.
And then I just want to point out B2710 town property maintenance. We're at 80.8% of that particular line item. And that's just because when we have larger maintenance that needs to happen at the large number of town-owned buildings, that's where that's coming out of. So we know that needs to be addressed in the next budget cycle.
Meaning you want to increase that budget?
We're going to streamline some things and take away from other places and to increase that.
Okay.
Those are my highlights. Mike, do you have other questions?
State license fees seems 71%,
What line is that, Mike?
27.2.
We pay those at the beginning of the year.
Okay.
So we have a license we have to pay for the transfer station and a license that we have to pay for the bulky waste portion of the transfer station. And we pay those fees in the beginning of the year.
Okay. Tax refunds, we only budget $1 as a place setting. Is that just something that's an anomaly?
We always have to just budget $1 and then do transfers at the end of the year to cover anything because you shouldn't necessarily count on the fact that you're going to have prior year refunds.
Okay. That was 30.01, Paul.
Thank you, sir.
Before
you go on, Mike, the rec number that Christine, you talked about, that request for additional funds, they're completely offset by income coming from those programs, right?
Correct.
Yeah, so that's a net zero. That's always nice to hear.
It's a formality.
Yep, thank you.
The B32 Board of Ed expenditures. They're at 31.3%.
I can't speak to anything for
Yeah.
Board of Ed. So basically what happens is anytime that they run a payroll or run a payable check run, the bookkeeper gets sent, their bookkeeper sends to our accounting generalist paperwork, and then we just do a journal entry for whatever that matches to. But we have to go off of their specific reports for anything.
Got it. And I know Christine wanted to meet with us earlier this month and it didn't happen, but
Yeah, I think she had some desire to do that, but without current reports, I don't know what use it is. But again, I'll reach out to her to get something more current so we can,
I just forced her to get current reports.
was it? Yeah, yeah,
You can come with current reports.
yeah, that would be nice. I think I think there's a struggle there to get those things going. So want to give her the time with her new staff to figure that out.
I just had some questions on the revenue side. the general property passed is much higher than budgeted. Is,
So before our previous tax collector left, she worked with the real estate tax attorney to send over 20 to 30 accounts into collections with him. So we've had a lot of people that are paying on payment plans on that. We've had some people who wanted to sell their properties who had liens on them. So they needed to make sure that they took care of all that. So yes, we have very much exceeded what we budgeted for this year. ANRG is doing a great job with the personal property and the motor vehicle past due taxes. So the money is coming in.
nice. LoSiP, is that just front loaded?
LoSiP, it's spend it, get it reimbursable from the state. So we got reimbursed after the time period that we could put things back to last year. So that's last year's money that was received in this fiscal year.
And how's that affect? It just goes into
It goes in the new year. So it's a positive thing for this year's budget.
A307, the state-owned property, the pilot program, payment in lieu of taxes.
Yes, that's just a lump sum that comes from the state. It's not identified which particular properties it's for, but they told us a budgeted amount and then the state had a surplus, so we got more.
Okay. I'm assuming the A3.12, the Mashantucket, that we just haven't received that. That's
It's dictated by statute when we receive the payments, so it just wasn't during this time period.
Okay.
Yeah, the ECS funding is driven by statute dates. The Mashantucket Pequot Fund is driven by statute dates. So any of the state funds, we just haven't received them as of this November 30th date. And I will point out a 3.30, the municipal revenue sharing grant. That is something that comes from the state that you can never count on. This is the first year since I've been here that we received it. So that's just an extra $103,000 that the state gave us because the state had a surplus.
That's nice.
It is.
Any chance they'll pay their bills for the closeout for our school project?
I was just gonna ask
I do
that.
not think one is related to the other.
Yeah, it's fine. No state statute for that. Okay.
No,
And there has been no news on that?
No.
At all?
No.
No whispers?
No.
No, not even good rumors?
Start one.
How about a whistle?
Yeah, so that's, it's kind of a funny thing that it takes so long, but it is $2 million round numbers coming back to the town, right, Christine?
Paul, Bob said that he hits on Troy, the superintendent, on that to keep checking on it. So
And is that around, is that $2 million round numbers?
yes, it's roughly $2 million.
Be nice to get that back in the kitty, that's for sure.
can you remind me again, A5.19, the deobligated capital? What was that? What was that obligated for?
So we deobligated. The selectmen voted to deobligate 2 large projects that were not budgeted. One was the software because we did not continue moving forward with that. And the other one was the Boom Bridge Road project. Yes, because the bridge is complete. So that's why it's much larger than the amount we budgeted. The amount we budgeted was the money left over for the ambulance refurb. So
Do you have, and the miscellaneous, can you explain why that's higher? Not to put you on the spot, but
I will have to run a report and bring it to the next meeting because honestly, I don't know off the top of my head.
it's not a huge number. I was just curious. So we voted to pay that note using the undesignated fund. With all this, extra revenue, that goes back into the general fund if it's not budgeted.
So any surplus revenue at the end of the year, when you take the bottom line numbers of what we spent and what we brought in, any extra will go. Yes.
But we can't tell whether or not
Not at this time.
how much that's going to eat back into what we took out. Or help.
Far too early.
But feels significant, yeah?
It feels like hundreds of thousands of dollars are
It does, it does. Keep reading, Mike. This is great.
Hey, Paul, while I'm just looking up, the last time we received any reports from the Board of Ed was we got a email from Christine just before Thanksgiving, and it was for July, August, and September.
Yep, that sounds right. I was gonna say up to October 1, so they do feel a bit dated now, but she'll get them to us. I know they're working through new staff and lots of different things.
Yeah,
Yep.
that was the
Yeah,
big
that was
thing.
the
It
last, that was
new
the last-
central office and
Yep.
new software and.
Yep.
The only one, the last one, Christine, is
Thank you, Dan.
D 26.01. Volunteer Fire Company. They're at 70.6%. Is there,
We pay them twice a year, that we front load and they get the majority of the money in the very beginning because they have annual contracts. Their insurance gets paid up front. Certain things just come out in the beginning. Then they get a second installment payment, after the first of the year. So they've received all their money, not according to this report, but year to date, they've received all their funds.
okay, so we're all set there.
Mhm.
State license fees, B 27.2. 71.1%. Is that just for timing?
State licensing, those get paid in the beginning of the year. Those got paid in August
Okay.
and they're all set.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Very nice, Mike. Very comprehensive. Anybody else have questions on the reports Christine supplied? Beyond what Mike's touched on. A lot of information there, Christine. Nicely done as usual. Thank you for those. I will reach out to Christine W. about some new reports from the Board of Education. But again, I know there's a lot going on there and they generally take a little bit more time to get their numbers in line. So I'm sure she'll send them out as soon as she has them, but I will give her a little reminder about that. Anything else on the current reports, team? Hearing no hands, I think we go to the next agenda item, which is
Public comment.
Public comments, please. Yeah, thank you. Any other comments from the audience? I don't know, Bob, if you had anything to say about what you've heard tonight?
Bob is shaking his head.
Yes or no?
No,
Okay.
no one seems to be running for the microphone.
Motion adjourned.
Oh, come on now. I was going to call on Gary for that. I see a first and a second. Thank you, Dan, for the nomination. Gary, a second. Thank you all. Have a great night.
Good night.
We love 1 hour meetings. How is the West Coast? Are you there yet?
Yes, and there are no sinkholes yet that I've found, so I'm happy with that.